Hello and thank you for your purchase of the Innokin platform series ZLIDE Atomizer. In this video, we're going to talk about troubleshooting. We're also going to go over some of the replacement seals and O-rings that come in the kit. Now, there aren't very many things that could go wrong with the ZLIDE Atomizer, but we will talk about two potential issues that could happen with this atomizer or others as well. And those issues are flooding and leaking or dry hits. Most of the times, those two issues are going to be caused by the viscosity or thickness of the e-liquid that you're using. The ZLIDE tank has been tested with e-liquids from a 60-40 PGVG all the way up to a 30-70 PGVG, but not all e-liquids are made using the same base components. If you're experiencing flooding or leaking from the ZLIDE tank, here are some things you can try. The first thing to check for is that the coil is properly seated in the tank. If you notice a space or a gap, even with the airflow controller pushed back into place, the coil is probably not seated correctly. First, remove the airflow controller. Then, rotate the coil until it sits properly in the tank. Replace the airflow controller. And push it back into place, allowing you to control the airflow. Only open the top cap to fill the tank, and don't keep the top cap open for extended periods of time. Doing that could flood the coil, so open your top cap, fill the tank with e-liquid, and then close it again. Another thing you could try is to open your airflow a bit more and loosen the tightness of your draw. This will create less suction and pull less e-liquid into the coil when using the tank. You can also try a thicker e-liquid with a higher VG content. Over time and with standard use, the seals and O-rings in the tank may become worn or damaged. It's important that these seals and O-rings be in good condition to prevent the tank from leaking or flooding. In this section of the video, we'll take a look at the included spare seals and O-rings, where they go on the tank, and how to replace them. The kit includes several different replacement seals and O-rings, including the inner coil O-ring, the top cap slide seal, and the mouthpiece O-ring. Now, a damaged mouthpiece O-ring isn't going to cause leaking or flooding, but should they become worn or damaged, let's see how to replace them. First, locate the damaged or worn mouthpiece O-ring and pry it out with a small screwdriver. Now take the replacement O-ring and slide it into place, being careful not to twist the O-ring. You've now replaced your damaged O-ring. Now, let's move on to our next O-ring, which is the inner coil O-ring. To access the inner coil O-ring, first drain your tank of e-liquid, and then remove the airflow controller. Now remove the coil. If you look at the inside of the tank, you'll find that O-ring. Pry it out with a screwdriver. And now replace it with the new O-ring. Of all the O-rings, this is going to be the most challenging to install, but with a little patience, you'll get it in there. Now replace the coil and the airflow control ring. Now let's replace our last seal, which is the top cap slide seal. For this step, you will need a T2 Torx screwdriver. This step can be done with the mouthpiece installed or removed. To make things a little bit easier, I'm going to remove the mouthpiece. Locate the two screws on the top cap and remove them. These screws are tiny. Be careful not to lose them, although some spares are also included in the kit. Once you remove the 2 screws, open the top cap as if you were going to fill the tank, but continue to slide the top cap until it comes off the tank. Using a small screwdriver, pry the damaged or worn top cap slide seal off the tank. Now take the replacement seal and place it onto the top cap. You'll notice one side of the replacement seal has a lip around the fill port. The lip side goes down. Be sure the seal is sitting correctly and completely flush with the tank. Now slide the top cap back into place by aligning the slots and grooves on the top cap and the tank. It will also help to sit the top cap on top of the child safety feature so that it doesn't get in the way. Once the top cap is back on the tank, replace the 2 screws. Replace your mouthpiece. You've now replaced the top cap slide seal. If these fingers can do it, so can yours. There is one more O-ring that I want to mention, and that's the O-ring that comes installed on every one of the Z coils. Be sure that that O-ring is in place or leaking could occur. And remember, every time you change a Z coil, you get a clean, fresh, and brand new 510 connection. If you're experiencing dry hits from the Atomizer, here are a few things that you can try. First, be sure that the coil is properly primed as discussed in the previous video. Be sure that the coil is seated correctly in the Atomizer. Another thing you can try is to close your airflow and tighten your jaw slightly. This will increase suction when using the Atomizer and pull more e-liquid into the coil. Quick, short, unpowered puffs on the Atomizer could also bring more e-liquid into the coil. And finally, try a thinner e-liquid with a lower VG content. Also, make sure that you're within the recommended wattage range for the coils. I personally recommend 13 watts for the 1.6 ohm coil and 15 watts for the 0.48 ohm Plex 3D coil. So lowering your wattage is something else you can try. And then finally, please remember to change your coil. Although we've received reports from users getting multiple weeks on these Z coils, we still recommend, as a rule of thumb, that you change your coil once per week. We hope you found this tutorial helpful and hope you enjoy the Innokin platform series ZLIDE Atomizer.